Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. It's now time for another favourites video, looking back at the month of October this time to show you what I've been getting up to. The big event of the month was of course my charity Abseil for Nystagmus research, which you'll have seen me posting about all over the place. I did a big blog post all about it and a video all about it, so you can see the photos from the day and the footage from the day, especially my headcam footage where you can see the amazing views that we could see from 80 feet up in the Orbit Tower at the Olympic Park. It was an amazing day, and again thank you so much to everybody who's helped me raise over £900 for Nystagmus research at Moorfields and University College London. That is greatly appreciated. Everyone who's donated got a shout out at the end of the Abseil video. So yeah, thank you very much for all your support with that, and please do go and check out the blog post and the video to find out all about it. But in this video I'm going to tell you about some other bits and pieces I've been doing in October, because it was still a busy month in other respects. So let's crack on with it, and I hope you enjoy. The first thing I will mention is a theatre trip, because I'm trying to go at least once a month to the theatre as per usual. And this time I saw a Shakespeare play for the first time. It's something that I've been curious about doing but wasn't really sure how to get into it, and then my friend Claire found an audio described production of Much Ado About Nothing, which is a comedy, so that sounded like a nice easy way in. And yeah, it was really very good. We had a wonderful touch tour on the stage beforehand. We got to meet a lot of the cast members who were there and who had a good chat to us. They were really friendly and lovely, because you don't always get to meet the cast on these tours, or if you do it's just a very brief hello and then you have to go and get ready. But here the ladies actually stayed around for quite a while and chatted to us, which was lovely. They were really friendly. And it was great looking around the stage, of course, as per usual. It was set during the war in the 1940s, but it still used all the Shakespearean language and stuff like that. It was still the original story at its core. So it took me a little while to get used to the language and the wording that Shakespeare uses, because I'm not really used to that. I never really got into it at school. But after a few moments, it just sort of clicked into place. And I'd got the hang of who was who and what was happening. We were going to have audio description during the show as well, but unfortunately there was too much static interference on the headsets for it to be usable, which is a shame because it's worked all right in that theatre before. So hopefully they're going to work on that to improve that. But luckily the touch tour had been pretty comprehensive, looking at all the uniforms like the Home Guard uniform and the RAF uniform, stuff like that, and various other props and set pieces that are used during the show. So I had a pretty good idea of what I was looking at. I was still able to follow the story from the dialogue and the action on the stage that I could see with my binocular. So yeah, I was fine. I enjoyed it. It was a nice introduction into the world of Shakespeare. I've done a whole detailed review of it in a blog post called Ballet and the Bard, where I've also written about a ballet that I've seen for the first time in November. So I'll talk about that in my next favourites video. But if you want to see what I thought of a ballet as well, then do go and check that post out. There's some photos from that too, including a lovely pony we met. I also went to a museum during the month, because again that's something else I like to try and do once a month or so if I can. And this time I went to the London Transport Museum in Covent Garden. I've been there before in my childhood, but I don't really remember it that clearly, and obviously it's been updated quite a bit since then. So yeah, I bought an annual pass a few months ago actually, when they were doing a special offer discount on it, and I finally got around to using it and just spent a good afternoon looking around everything. They've got the entire history of London Transport there, as you could imagine from the name. So you've got old buses and taxis, being pulled by horses, and the development of the railways and the London Underground. And then you've got the Route Master buses and more modern buses and more modern taxis. And there's all sorts of advertising posters from London Transport and the Underground over the year, and old tube maps and stuff like that. And there's a section devoted to the war and how the underground stations were used as shelters and how people were asked to sign up for the war. There's a section on poster girls at the moment. That's a special exhibition they've got. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff there. It's a really interesting museum, and I highly recommend it if you like transportation in general, or specifically London Transport. It's really comprehensive, really good. And there are lots of photos on my Instagram, which I've linked to in my blog post to go with this video. So yeah, go and check all that out. And talking of museums, I actually also took part in an audio description study. This is a research project that a lady called Rachel Hutchinson from the University of Westminster has been doing. And basically, as one of the participants, I had to go in and listen to audio descriptions of 8 black and white photographs that were taken from the Museum of London archives, and then give my feedback on what I thought of the audio description. Then more recently I've had to fill out a follow-up questionnaire thinking about what I can remember from the day and the descriptions and the photos and things. They're very interesting photos. I'm not going to say what was in them or go into detail, because the follow-up questionnaire is still going round to various participants, and I don't want to skew the results if anybody happens to see this video or the blog post, which is possible. But it was very interesting, and I really enjoyed it. I think if audio description can be like the type that I heard that day in museums in general, then I'll be very happy with that. I thought it was great. And then another exciting thing for me during the month was the release of the Bohemian Rhapsody movie. I'm a massive Queen fan. I think Freddie Mercury was an absolute genius, and all the other members of the band are great as well, because they all wrote hits for the band, all 4 members. So, they're a great quartet, and yeah, I just love their music. I've got all their albums and DVDs and Blu-Rays and stuff. So when I saw this film was coming out, I was really, really happy about that. I know they had a few issues with its production, so I was a little bit wary about it, but it's actually really, really good. The movie is amazing. Rami Malek, who plays Freddie Mercury, is just superb. I mean, he really has got him down to a T. He's obviously really studied him closely to mirror his, his facial expressions and his body language and everything, and his voice. And it's just really, really good, especially the Live Aid segment at the end where they do a recreation of the Live Aid concert. That is really, really impressive. It's brilliant. And the movie basically tells the story of Queen from their initial formation right up to Live Aid when they performed on stage there. And yeah, it's got some inaccuracies in it because, they've taken some dramatic license to some of the story, but that's fine. As long as you realise that the movie is for entertainment and isn't a strict documentary, then it's fine. Overall, it still gives you a good overview of how Queen developed over the years, but, it's not entirely accurate in some places. If you want a proper documentary, then you want to get Days of Our Lives, because that's on Blu-ray and that's brilliant. But yeah, for entertainment purposes, it's a brilliant movie. It's got lots of their hits in it, of course. And I've got the soundtrack album as well, which is great. It's obviously got some of Queen's biggest hits on there. It's also got some alternative live versions of remixes of some of their tracks as well, which are quite interesting to listen to. So it's a really good album. Even the 20th Century Fox fanfare at the start, which begins the movie as well, being played by Brian May, kind of sends a shiver down my spine because he just plays it wonderfully. So yeah, the movie is great. If you're a Queen fan, go and check it out. But the other thing that's going on to promote it is that Carnaby, the shopping district in London, have got lots of lights up now down the street with lyrics from Bohemian Rhapsody in kind of curly lettering that's slightly hard to read, but then I know the words well enough anyway, so I can figure out what they're saying. And it just looks great. You've got the Queen crest up there as well. There's a crown right in the middle, and yeah, it just looks really, really great. And that leads you down to a Queen pop-up shop that they've got there for a few months. So obviously had to go in there during October and have a look around. And it's really, really good. It's like a mini museum in itself because there's photos of the band in there. There's a bank of video screens in front of a drum kit used by Roger Taylor. The video screens are showing Queen performing in the studio and live on stage. So you've got their music blaring through the shop, which is great. And there's tour posters and things like that. And when I went there, it was the first week or so that it had been open, and they had the Freddie Mercury statue there from Madame Tussauds, and it's just brilliant. It was great to get so close up to, an idol of mine in that way. It's really detailed, and it just catches Freddie's, power and energy and performing skill just perfectly. It's a brilliant, brilliant pose they've done with him singing and punching the air at the same time. So I was really glad to be able to get close to that and get some photos of it. And of course in the shop they've got lots of merchandise as well. You've got DVDs and albums and stuff like that. And there's Queen Monopoly, where all the properties are like their concert venues over the years, and there's limited edition things like lamps and watches, and there's some signed Brian May guitars you can get, and some Roger Taylor drumsticks and things like that. And of course there's plenty of clothing as well. So I got myself a few t-shirts. I got myself a black long sleeve top that's got the Queen crest on it, and also a white short sleeve top that's also got the crest on it. In both cases it's kind of in multiple colours kind of going down through, so it starts at the top with a phoenix, then you've got a crab sitting on top of the letter Q in the middle, you've got a lion either side of the Q, and fairies at the bottom of the Q on either side as well. And it basically represents different members of the band, all these different elements. So if you look up online, you can see who it represents. And it just looks really cool. I also got a yellow t-shirt that's got an image of Freddie Mercury on it above his signature. And on the back, it references the Mercury Phoenix Trust, which was set up in his honour to fund AIDS research. And then I also got one more t-shirt, which is kind of a dirty white colour, that's basically promoting Queen on tour. It's got a picture of the band and some tour dates on there. So yeah, it's a nice selection of t-shirts I got there. And then the other thing I bought is a big pint glass with a handle on the side that's got a big metal representation of the Queen crest on it. So it's really kind of tactile and easy to see, which is quite cool. So I like that. I've been drinking out of that quite a bit. So yeah, if you're a Queen fan, it's a great store to go to. And yes, you can, buy a lot of this stuff online, I know, but it's nice to be able to go into a shop with Queen playing in the background, and you can watch their videos and stuff, as well as exploring all the items and look at the photos and posters and things. It's just really nice to spend an hour or two in there. It's great. So I really enjoyed the movie and the shop and all the lights in Carnaby. It's been great to celebrate my favourite band, and hopefully all of this has helped to introduce them to a new generation as well, to help keep Queen's legacy alive, as it deserves to be. I've also continued meeting up with some of the visually impaired social groups that I hang out with. The most notable in October was East London Vision because they were celebrating their 5th birthday, so they had a bit of a party for it. So we had a quiz during the afternoon which was all about East London or staff members of East London Vision or Elvis Presley, because Elvis is the shortened name of East London Vision. And then, we had fish and chips for lunch during that. And then we had a game of Pass the Parcel because it is a 5th birthday party. We are adults, but we can still play games like that. The twist with that was that everyone who had to take off a layer from the parcel when it was their turn, they had to do a forfeit as well, like a light-hearted forfeit. So like tell a joke or dance the Macarena or act out a scene from a TV show. Or in my case, I had to sing an Elvis song. So I chose All Shook Up because I vaguely know the words. And they had the song playing as well to sing along to. And everybody else kind of sang along with it as well with me. So I wasn't kind of being embarrassed by singing on my own or anything, thankfully. So yeah, that was good fun. And we had a birthday cake as well, of course, chocolate sponge and cream on it. It was lovely. And there was a speech from Masuma, the CEO of East London Vision at the end. So yeah, it was just a lovely afternoon. And there are some changes coming up because East London Vision and South East London Vision and all these groups that come under the Thomas Pocklington Trust, they're all kind of being brought together under the name London Vision. So East London Vision is going to become London Vision East, for instance. South East London Vision is becoming London Vision South East. So it's just kind of bringing everything together, just reorganising things behind the scenes, really, I think. The services and support that each of these groups provide will be pretty much the same as before. So yeah, it's just making things a bit more streamlined and reorganised as far as I'm aware. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out over the coming year. But yeah, congratulations to East London Vision on their 5th birthday. They've done a lot for me since I moved to London last year. They really helped me to settle in and get into meeting people, and it's helped me to do activities that I might not have ever done in any other way, like the Go Ape obstacle course I did earlier this year. And I've been to the London Marathon to watch that with them, and I've been to museums and on walks and just socialised with some wonderful people there. Same goes for South East London Vision as well, who I joined a little while later. They've just been great at really helping me settle into London and make some new friends. So I'm very, very grateful for them to that. And I know they give a lot of support and advice to a lot of people. So yeah, it's great that they're still going. And talking of anniversaries, we must also say happy 150th anniversary to the RNIB, the Royal National Institute of Blind People. They also do amazing work, and it's great to see them celebrating such a milestone. For my family, we've brought lots of products from their shops. They've given us advice on things over the years. My parents met at the Manor House in Torquay, the rehabilitation centre they used to run. Mum uses the Overdrive service for her talking books these days. So yeah, they're just a great organisation. They do a lot of campaigning on behalf of people with sight loss, of course, and I've done a few bits and pieces for them since I started blogging. So yeah, very happy 150th anniversary to the RNIB, and here's to another 150 years at least. Your support for the sight loss community is very, very much appreciated. And then the other groups I met up with were Aquabats and the London Sports Club for the Blind. In both cases, I went 10-pin bowling with them at the Queen's Bowling Alley in Queensway. And then afterwards, again in both cases, we went for a meal at the New Fortune Cookie, which is a Chinese restaurant just by Queensway Tube Station. So it was great fun on both evenings. It was great to meet them again as usual. I try and go to those bowling events regularly because they're good fun. They're a great way to socialise. Moving on to TV now, and the big thing this month was, of course, Doctor Who. We now have a new series with a new executive producer in Chris Chibnall and a new female doctor in Jodie Whittaker. I think it's brilliant. I think Jodie Whittaker has done an amazing job. She really fits into the role very nicely. She's got the mannerisms of the Doctor. She feels like the Doctor. She's a great actress in general. The companions are good as well. I'm not quite sure if we need all three of them. It feels a little bit overkill perhaps. I'm not sure if we're going to get all the full potential out of them as a result, but maybe we will. I don't know. But I'm very glad Bradley Walsh is among them. That's a nice touch. He's actually quite a good actor. If you only know him for like presenting The Chase and stuff like that, then it's well worth watching him in this because he's actually good. And yeah, the stories are good. There's a nice variety of episodes, going back into history or going into space and stuff like that. The Rosa Parks story was a particularly good example of how Doctor Who is great at history and getting the message across that we should respect one another regardless of how different we are. So yeah, it's great that they do kind of stories like that that make people think and teach people a bit about their history, especially the children. So yeah, I'm really impressed with that. And the theme tune is not bad as well. Again, it's been refreshed like the rest of the series has. We've got a new composer this time as well. Murray Gold's now stepped aside. And yeah, the new theme tune is good. It's not as good as some of Murray Gold's stuff. I think my favourite version of the theme is still the really heavy driving theme that was used for David Tennant's era. And I also really like the rock version of the theme that was used for one episode of Peter Capaldi's run. It's a shame they didn't use that more often, really. But yeah, this new theme is good. It's got a nice bass line at the start that drops before the main melody kicks in, and there's a kind of classic era type feel to it, the main melody. So yeah, it's good. It's it's nice to have a fresh take on the theme. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the remaining episodes of the series. I think they've got off to a very good start. I've been very impressed with Jodie. I think she's really helped to shut up the critics a bit. I've been very pleased to see a lot of positive reaction to her on social media. Good luck to Jodie for the rest of the series. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how that pans out. Another show that's come back is The Big Bang Theory, of course. That's a comedy that I love. And they're back for their final season now. Season 12 is going to be their last one, which is a shame, but also understandable. You want to go out when you're on top and not drag it out too long. So I think that was a wise decision. And I've also got Series 11 on Blu-ray as well. So yeah, there's plenty of extras on here as well. So you've got the Comic-Con panel on there, which they've done a few of on previous DVD releases as well, and there's a gag reel and some other features as well. So yeah, it's going to be great to have the whole collection of these when Series 12 finally comes out, because it is a great show, and I'm glad there's so many episodes that I can look back on and enjoy. And then another comedy I've got, again on Blu-ray, is Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I've already had this on DVD, but I wanted to upgrade to this because it's been remastered and restored, so it's got better picture quality and sound quality. And there's also a lot more extra features on here as well. There's loads on here. And we've got all the original extras from the DVD, plus a whole ton more. So there's stuff with Douglas Adams in there and all sorts of other random bits and bobs. So I haven't actually watched this yet, but I'm looking forward to going through it. Firstly, to relive the episodes because they're just great. They're really, really funny. And also to see what all the extra features are like. So I'll do a review of some sort in my blog or on here or whatever as soon as I've gone through that. And then finally, the other DVD I've got is You Can't Polish a Nerd. Now this is slightly unusual because this isn't a TV show. This is a live show that was done by Festival of the Spoken Nerd. If any of you follow stand-up maths on YouTube, then you'll know Matt from there for a start. I saw them earlier in the year at an evening of Unnecessary Detail, which was a comedy show for nerds that was held earlier this year. And yeah, it's basically all about maths and science, basically, with comedy mixed in as well. So you get to learn the things and have a laugh at the same time. Yeah, it's a lot of really fun and weird stuff on here. So you've got like a pendulum with a pie on it, which makes sense when you see it. There's a spherical camera. The footage they get from that is really cool. There's stuff being filmed inside a microwave. There's some interesting songs in there, including one about the periodic table that some of you will know, but the lady on here has extended it a bit to take account of some new elements. And there's other songs she does as well. And yeah, it's just some interesting experiments, and it's a good laugh. It's quite a long show as well, nearly 2 hours of material on here. Plus you've got commentaries. There's 3 commentaries because they each do one each, commenting on each other's commentaries. And indeed, if you look at the cover, you can see it's recursive in as much as they're holding up the DVD cover on the front. So if you zoom into it, you can see that then on that cover they're also holding the DVD cover, so it just goes recursive down through the photos. So that's a really cool touch. And indeed, the unboxing extra on here as well is kind of similar. I'm not going to give it away too much, but the unboxing feature on here is really, really clever. It's the most interesting unboxing video you will see, I reckon. So that's good fun. I really enjoyed watching that show. It's a bit different. It's a bit nerdy. It's not for everyone in that respect, but if you like a bit of maths, you like a bit of science, it's good. I'm also enjoying the new series of The Flash, Series 5 that's come out on Sky. That's got a nice new twist to it this season with Barry's daughter turning up from the future. I've also been watching things like The Last Leg, Have I Got News for You, QIXL, Would I Lie to You? And they've also just finished the latest series of Taskmaster as well, Series 7, which is as hilarious as ever. I love Taskmaster, it's brilliant. So I'm looking forward to seeing who's in Series 8 now. And then finally, to finish off, a few things from my blog and social media to mention. On my blog, there's a couple of other posts that I haven't mentioned yet. The main one being an interview with Chelsea from VI Blind Resources. She has a YouTube channel as well where she actually audio describes a lot of the content in her videos, which is great. And she makes the effort to describe images on social media too. And she posts very, very regularly about the stuff she gets up to and giving advice on how to interact with visually impaired people. And I did an interview with her for her blog where I wrote about what it was like to live with visually impaired parents, to grow up in that kind of environment, and which is not something I've written about on my own blog before, so it's kind of something unique for her to publish on hers. And then in return, I invited Chelsea to do an interview on my blog about herself, so you can find out a bit about her. So yeah, go and check out both those posts. I think you'll find them very, very interesting, and thank you to Chelsea for getting involved with that, inviting me to her blog and contributing to mine. And then the other post I published during the month was another scam that I became aware of after I got a strange little little business card through my door for someone called Mr. Latif, who claims to be born gifted. And the fact that I'm not here saying that the world's problems have been solved kind of proves he's not the person he says he is. You know, I did a bit of digging around, a bit of Googling, and found that he changed his name a couple of times, and he's changed his address and mobile numbers regularly over the years. He's continued to try and peddle this scam of claiming that he's amazing and can solve any problem for anybody, anytime, anywhere. And the strange thing is that you can't find any single bit of evidence or review or anything like that to say that he is who he claims he is. It's just clearly nonsense from the outset. He was told off by the Advertising Standards Agency, but just carried on anyway. So yeah, it's a strange little scam, but it's important to make people aware of it, because the fact that he's been doing it for so many years suggests that people might be falling for it. Otherwise, it wouldn't be worth his while continuing to try and do it. So it's important to make people aware of these things, however bizarre they may seem to us. There are more vulnerable people who might fall for that kind of thing if they are in dire straits and they're really desperate for any kind of solution, you know. So it's important to kind of get the message out there. And then finally, just a few quick shout outs to some other disabled people that deserve a mention, including bloggers. Firstly, a very big congratulations to everybody who ended up on the Disability Power 100 list, which was put together by the Shaw Trust. That's basically a list of the most influential disabled people in the UK, so it's a very, very prestigious list. Everybody who's on there has worked very hard and fully deserves to be there, so congratulations to everybody on there. You're all amazing. One of the people on that list is Holly from the blog Life of a Blind Girl. She was one of the people who influenced me to start blogging when I first discovered this whole community, and she's done a lot of great posts over the past few years giving advice on how to interact with visually impaired people and sharing her own experiences and telling us a lot about herself and really educating people wonderfully and raising a lot of awareness. So well done to Holly for that. One of her most recent posts, for instance, is 6 ways to make your social media posts more accessible. So I highly recommend you read that, because that's very, very important information to know. And she's also done an interview for RNIB Connect Radio as well. So she's becoming quite the star at the moment. She's also got her own YouTube channel that she's been working on too more recently. So yeah, go and check out Life of a Blind Girl, because she is on that Power 100 list for good reason. I also recommend checking out one of the new videos from Emily over at Fashioneyesta, where she talks about her inaccessibility horror stories and has invited people to contribute their own as well. If you watch that video, you'll find a lot of things you can relate to, I'm sure. I know I certainly did. And if you have any other stories of your own you want to share on Twitter or on video or whatever, then Emily will really appreciate that, I'm sure. And thank you also to Emily for alerting me that Outlander Series 4 is back on Amazon Prime. That I'm going to be watching, because that is a great show that Emily got me into, so thank you to her for that. And then finally, just to mention a new podcast that may interest some of you. Fern Lulham is a great motivational speaker who has the same eye conditions as me, but her sight loss is more severe. I met her at the Anorigin Network conference earlier in the year and was really impressed with her speech that she gave there. And she's got a great YouTube channel and a blog and stuff as well, and she appears on a show on Canadian radio online, AMI Audio. And now she's got a podcast of her very own called The Things We Don't See, which is all about mental health and, you know, the issues that we all have to deal with at some time or another. So she gives some advice and shares her own experiences. So yeah, do go and listen to that if you want a bit of support and advice in that kind of area, because she's really, really good. And that's it. Those are all the things I've got to mention for October. Like I say, thank you again to everyone who donated to the Abseil. It's another opportunity just to say thank you for that. And yeah, I hope you found the rest of this video interesting and enjoyable. It's certainly a good month for me. November has also been very interesting already, and there are some other interesting things coming up. There's 3 theatre trips I've done already this month, and there's a museum visit as well, which is going to be very interesting, that I'm going to be doing the day after I'm filming this, in fact. And then there's 1 or 2 other things going on, and I'm going on a little mini break as well. I'm going out of London to stay with some friends. So yeah, I'm going to have a fair few bits and pieces to talk about in my November favourites next month. But for now, that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you for another video very, very soon. Bye.